Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news. With the Progressive Liberal Party's convention out of the way, the Prime Minister talks boundary cuts.
A blowout victory for Perry Christie at the PLP's convention. The full story coming up.
National Movement leader responds to the Prime Minister's recent assault on the FNM. That story straight ahead.
The Bahamas is now a safer place, according to the Minister of National Security. That story is coming up straight ahead.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm KRISTINA McNeil. Topping news tonight, the Boundaries Commission report may be complete as early as next week, allowing Prime Minister Perry Christie to set a date for the 2017 general election. However, Christie notes that the report may have implications for his constituency, among others. You'll only see this story on one station.
Maybe as early as next week, the country will see that. I would simply say this, that there's every indication as to why people should get registered, because I can tell you that we have the responsibility of indicating when general elections will take place, and our only obligation is to ensure that sufficient people are registered to go to the country.
Christie says he doesn't expect any major disruption in the current boundaries. However, if there are changes, he foresees them in two areas in particular.
I don't expect major changes from them. Constitutionally, the final act is that of the Prime Minister. The report will ultimately come to the Prime Minister, who has the power to agree or disagree, and then it goes to Parliament. And so therefore I expect that momentarily. One of the considerations they've had is looking at the area that Mr. Ingram sort of eliminated 2 seats when he created the New Angleton, the New Centerville, and the New Bain and Grahamstown. He eliminated St. Cecilia and St. Thomas More. The question for the Boundaries Commission or the Constituencies Commission is now to make their report.
Late last year, the Nassau Guardian revealed that portions of Fort Charlotte, Baines and Grantstown, Centerville, and Englerston may be redrawn to create a reconstituted St. Cecilia. If that happens, the Prime Minister may find himself campaigning to newcomers in his constituency.
It may mean for me that I have a different kind of constituency, and as leader of a party, that's a challenge as well, because if I have to go and find new people and new voters, as was the case last time, it poses a challenge.
Christie tells our news that he hopes there's no need for him to alter the completed commission report. Registration for the upcoming election has been slow, which may have caused a delay in the commission's report. Meanwhile, now that both major political parties have completed their national conventions, Christie knows the question that's on everyone's minds.
Do you have a date in mind for election?
No, but the dates, my options are not all that great. We know it has to happen between now and a certain date.
The Prime Minister says everyone should get registered and ready to vote. Well, the Progressive Liberal Party's journey to the 2017 general election begins in earnest now that its convention is out of the way. Christie slaughtered his opponent, Alfred Sears, to retain the party's top post. WALKINE reports.
Well, it's official. Prime Minister Perry Christie will square off against Dr. Hubert MINNIS and Bramwell McCartney in the 2017 general election. This after his post as leader of the PLP was solidified last night. Riding the wave of his blowout victory over challenger Alfred Sears, Prime Minister Perry Christie did just as he said he would many months ago. He went into the party's 52nd national convention as leader and came out as leader. The 73-year-old PLP leader won 88% of the vote with 1,264 votes to Sears's 169. But his win didn't come as much of a surprise. In the months leading up to the PLP's first convention since 2009, minister after minister in his cabinet and other PLP supporters voiced their support for the party's leader. And in his victory speech, he pledged that he would not let his many supporters down.
I promise that each and every day that lies before me as your leader, I shall do all in my power to prove myself worthy of the support you have so generously given me today.
Last night topped off 2 days of high energy for a party that has been looking to shore up its base ahead of a highly anticipated general election. The Christie administration has no doubt been plagued with controversy this term, from BAMSI and Bahamar to crime and 2 failed referenda. The Prime Minister charged that despite what anyone says, the PLP is the country's best option.
Don't let anybody tell you different, and if they tell you different, tell them they lie. Don't forget it now. Do not be afraid to claim your legacy. And if they say it ain't true, tell them to lie.
In its pitch for another term, Christie urged the packed room of PLP supporters to remember that when people criticize the time the government takes to get things done, they must remember the state the party met the country in after the 2012 general election.
But listen, I have to tell you, because sometimes you are impatient yourselves. It took a long time to do it because of the mess we met in place. So I ask you again tonight, remember from whence we came.
The packed room was filled with supporters wearing shirts and waving flags and other paraphernalia bearing the image of the re-elected leader. And to the end of the night, he brought up several former members of the Free National Movement who have now switched their allegiance to the PLP.
BYRON, WOODSIDE. One party, one people, one leader.
One leader.
Christie once again urged people to register to vote as the general election draws near. Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle WALKINE.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, minutes before the final night of the convention kicked off, Christie's only leadership challenger, Alfred Sears, held a press conference where he said the people of the PLP have spoken and he accepts the results. Despite his disappointing loss, Sears says the party has come out of its election process stronger than ever.
I remain faithful and committed to the core values of the PLP and believe that it is the best party to lead our country and to effect change and progress in the Bahamas.
Sears says he's not sad or discouraged. In fact, he's proud to have done what many were afraid to attempt.
I have no regrets. I stand on my convictions, and I am proud to have done what I believe is right, and not simply what is easy.
Sears, who was surrounded by loved ones and supporters, says his focus has now shifted to reclaiming the PLP's Fort Charlotte seat.
As the candidate of the Progressive Liberal Party in Fort Charlotte, to take my platform of community empowerment to the people of Fort Charlotte. We will win that seat.
Meanwhile, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert MINNIS is blasting Prime Minister Christie, who told PLP supporters last night that the country was left in shambles by the last Ingram administration. MINNIS said Christie is clearly out of touch with reality. Jasmine Brown reports.
Dr. MINNIS says based on the Prime Minister's comments at the convention last night, it appears Christie is fluent in alternative facts. MINNIS says he watched the Prime Minister's speech in amazement as Christie bashed the last Ingram administration. MINNIS called it crazy talk.
I made a statement that he was delusional. As a medical personnel, I'm now convinced even more that he's delusional.
Christie sought to fire up supporters last night and said Bahamians must not forget the state in which the previous FNM government left the country. Christie claims students were dropped by the wayside, government corporations sold off, a mountain of bills left unpaid, pension obligations were not funded, and labor issues were left unresolved. He also accused the FNM of making decisions on behalf of a small number of the privileged and powerful and not on behalf of the people. MINNIS called those claims baseless.
But he could not possibly be for real. He is totally disconnected with reality. The Prime Minister said the FNM had mismanaged the country.
As for Christie's claims that he was very proud of his government's achievements, including rescuing the Bahamar resort, the FNM leader says as far as he is concerned, the PLP has nothing to brag about. MINNIS says the facts speak for themselves.
They came in. The national debt had increased. The debt the GDP ratio has increased. In spite of them taxing us and collecting almost $1 billion, national debt still rose. They cannot account adequately for this $1 billion. Alfred says, tried to remove him. He failed. The FNM will succeed.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Meanwhile, former Free National Movement MP Fenton NEYMOUR has asserted that the electoral system within political parties is rigged. NEYMOUR made the comments while addressing members of the Rotary Club of West Nassau at Poop Deck West on Thursday. He insisted no political party in the Bahamas is truly democratic.
All political parties have the same objective. In fact, their constitution stated, which is to become the government of the Bahamas. It does not say it is to improve the quality of life of its citizens. All political parties have leaders for life or until they choose to leave. They will die with their boots on. Once they are elected, it will take all hell to remove them.
NEYMOUR said he also believes the party convention delegate system is seriously flawed. He says those who elect leaders are selected, adding that the PLP stalwart councillors are appointed by the leadership and significantly outnumber the elected delegates. He insists it's not much different in the FNM.
They are appointed and not elected, and they are approved by someone selected by the leader. You see, no political party also has a succession plan. In fact, if you realize it, they all eat their young. Their young liberals or their young torchbearers never make it to the top.
NEYMOUR says before politics in the country can advance, ongoing issues in political parties must be addressed. Still to come on our News, is the country safer under the Progressive Liberal Party? Plus, why the Democratic National Alliance says Perry Christie's bridge to the future is non-existent. That's coming up when our News returns.